With me. Hey yo, hey yo, hey yo, my name's Adrian, and I was today years old when I realized that wasn't an H anymore. Welcome to my video. If you're watching, it probably means that you're about to play my Warhammer 40k one-shot, which I'm super honored by that. And in return, to honor your time, let's go ahead and get into this. This one-shot is designed to be simple, yet force players to make efficient use of their resources and allow for more combat in a shorter period of time. Now, the only materials that you'll need are 10 d6s, which we are going to call action dice going forward, and which is often abbreviated as AD on your character sheets. And that's it. No d20s, no d100s, no... nothing else, man. That's it. And now that you have your materials, let's see how this whole thing works. Your 10 action dice represent everything you can do in one turn of combat. These are what you will use for movement, class abilities, utility, and for melee and ranged combat. You will do all of this in 4 separate phases of combat: initiative, the command phase, the movement phase, and the fight phase. Everybody will go through the initiative and command phases at the beginning of combat. Then we will have combat in the order of initiative for the last 2 phases. Initiative is the exact same as D&D. It's the way that we sort out the order in which player characters and NPCs will be fighting. And we determine that by rolling 3d6s. Higher numbers going first, of course. The command phase is where you will use your special command abilities, as they will typically apply to the entirety of that round of combat. For the sake of time, I'll let you read about it in your character sheets. The movement phase is exactly what it sounds like. Your dice total will determine your movement in feet. Now, this might change because Roll20's movement spacing is kind of jank, but I'll tinker with it and we'll figure it out day of. Your dice total in the fight phase will determine the number of wounds you deal in total, depending on your weapon. For example, the Intercessor Marine's auto bolt rifle does d6 wounds per action die, but the Sergeant's plasma pistol only does d3 each. And if you're not familiar with the idea of rolling a d3, we're literally just taking a d6 and we're chopping it into thirds. So if you roll a 1 or a 2, it equals 1. If you're rolling a 3 or a 4, it equals 2. And if you roll a 5 or a 6, it equals 3. And that's all there is to it. Normal enemies will typically have 1 wound apiece unless otherwise specified. Typically, you will have to declare what squads you want to fire at before you roll, unless you want to use advanced targeting, which is an ability all players should have. Now, during combat, everybody will be able to use their general use abilities and their battle strain abilities at any moment of their choosing. Your general use abilities will typically have some kind of buff or ability that will have a standard benefit to your team. However, your battle strain abilities have much greater benefits, but incredible consequences. For example, the Intercessor Marine has an ability called Move, 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 which doubles their movement, but also doubles all damage taken for that turn. Similarly, the Tech Marine can detonate any of their 5 servitors, which explodes, causing 2d6 wounds to anything caught in a 20-foot radius. But allies will also take the same amount of damage if they're caught in the blast. Now, outside of combat, there will be some things and people to interact with, but besides that, I would highly recommend that you take time to heal, repair weapons, and maybe investigate, walk around, see what you can see. Maybe there's some info that'll help you on your mission or something. I mean, I don't know. What do I know? I just work here. Alright, I'm done lecturing now. I'm going to go ahead and show you what a round of combat looks like with a simple engagement. So, for this example, I will be playing as an Intercessor Marine, fighting against 2 12-man squads of orcs that are around the corner in a factory building. Orcs have 1 wound apiece, and I know that because I asked my DM really nicely about how tough they are. I rolled for initiative, and I rolled an 8, and my DM tells me that the orcs rolled higher, to which I say,
"Curse those greenskins."
And we continue to the command phase. I have a command ability called Offense is the Best Defense, which allows me to double wounds dealt, but at the cost of having all movement for my turn. I would love to do double damage and absolutely wipe those orcs. However, I really want to make sure I have line of sight, and if I want to get around that corner, I need to move at least 6 feet. Not to say rolling a 12 on 3d6 isn't possible, but I'd rather play it safe. So I decide that I'll just roll for normal movement on my turn. The orcs by themselves don't have any command abilities, so they move on to their movement phase. To get around the corner to where I am, they need to move 15 feet to have line of sight on me. They're deadly in melee combat, but I doubt that they'll have the resources to get far enough given each individual orc doesn't have as many action dice to work with as I do. The orcs roll 12 for their movement, but it's not enough to get line of sight on me. And because of that, their fight phase is nullified. Their turn is over, and I will begin my movement phase. For my movement, I will use 3 of my action dice to get around the corner. I roll a 9, and that's more than enough. Now I have 7 action dice left, so I'm going to look at my character sheet and choose a weapon to use. I could try to charge them, but one marine with a combat knife against 24 orcs in melee isn't going to go well. So I'm going to fire my auto bolt rifle into both squads, so I send 3 action dice into the first squad and my last 4 action dice into the other. I rolled 16 wounds for the first squad and 8 for the other, so I definitely overkilled the first squad. Now, what I can do here is take both of those ones that I rolled for the second squad and burn those in order to use advanced targeting, which allows me to reallocate wounds I've dealt from one enemy into another. This way, I can transfer over one of the 5s I rolled for the first squad. Now, I've made up for my bad rolls, and I've only left 1 orc in each squad alive. And that's the whole thing. That's how the whole thing works, man. I hope everything makes sense, and if not, please feel free to message me on Discord. I'm always down to help clarify any concepts that need to be clarified. Well, I hope you consider allowing me to DM a session for you in the near future, and until then, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. And remember, life is hard, so be kind. Thank you so much, and I'll see you soon.